and Anthony Live. Here's your host, Sam Roberts.
Yes. As we wait for Jack Osbourne to join us in a few minutes, this is After Opie and Anthony Live.
This your theme song?
Yeah. What do you think?
What is it?
It's a Kanye West song. It's called Black Skinheads, but...
Sound like Gary Glitter.
No, it's not.
This is fucking the same as Gary Glitter.
It's not Gary Glitter.
Banana, hey!
No, it just got a big bass drum in it.
Banana, hey!
No, it's got a big bass drum in it, but that's the only similarity.
It's the same thing.
It's not a pedophile song. It's not as shitty Gary...
Banana, hey!
Well, when you barrel over it, it's kind of hard to...
I do love a good barreling.
Oh, my gosh. Jim is sticking around, obviously, for the Jack Osbourne interview.
Yeah, and he was doing I guess TV or something, couldn't come earlier.
Right, otherwise he would have done O&A like he did last time for the documentary.
Yes.
I never saw the documentary.
It's great.
It was good.
I loved it, yeah. And not just because it's Ozzy. Well, maybe just because it's Ozzy, but I mean, it was well done. It was well put together, and there was interviews and stuff that I'd never seen.
But are you the type of fan that you'll like it just because it's Ozzy? Or...
Yes, I am.
So you're not, like, sitting there criticizing it because you need it to be a certain level.
I expect it to be interesting, because to me anything they say about him will be interesting. But seeing the band members interviewed and the family and Jack talk to the kids, like himself of course, and his sisters, and also Ozzy's kids from his first marriage, and they talked about like, hey, we wish he was here more, we wish he was a better dad and more present, or I mean, it was heavy.
They said that.
Oh yeah, and I should ask Jack about that.
Write it down so you don't forget.
I have to, dude. Hold on, you're done watching.
Ask about Ozzy.
Yes, OZ. I'll just put OZ in period so I know I'm in a rush. Yeah, and I was wondering if it was uncomfortable for Ozzy to watch that. I think we asked Ozzy when he was in. But how did that...
I don't think anything's uncomfortable for him at this point.
With the kids, though, it's always weird with people's kids. When your kids are on camera saying they wish you were around more. Or,
yeah. Yeah, they were saying Sharon and I think Ozzy have both recently kind of said that they did kind of wish they didn't do the reality show. Like they like how much fame and money it brought them and where it's taken their family in terms of career. But in terms of exposure and all that stuff, they kind of regret the fact that their kids' awkward stages and obnoxious periods in their lives were publicized for everybody.
But it did set the path of Jack's and Kelly's life.
Absolutely.
Like, they're tremendously successful now because they were recognizable figures. Like, you kind of knew who they were, and you either liked them or didn't like them, but you knew them. So then when you saw them on TV, you weren't like, who the fuck is this? You're like, oh, okay, that's Kelly from the show or Jack from the show.
They're probably some of the more successful, rock star kids.
Yes.
Like Jack they've gotten their shit together. Kelly is killing it on E! She's on every red carpet show. She's on all the Fashion Police show. And Jack, he's always got some shit going on. He made it through the whole season of Dancing with the Stars. Yeah,
which is pretty amazing. I mean, the guy has fucking MS.
Yeah.
And he's dancing. I mean, I have sleep apnea and I cry that I can't get through 20 minutes of cardio.
So tired.
I know. I'm fucking boring myself if it's any consolation.
Let me go to the phones while we wait for Jack Osbourne. Nick in Niagara Falls.
What's going on, guys?
Hi, Nick.
Listen, I got a question, a couple questions, if you guys could settle a bet for me.
Sure.
Did Opie and Anthony used to do a bit where you call in, you tell a joke, and if the joke bombs, they give out your phone number on the air?
No, that's illegal. They never would have been able to do that.
Never?
Not to my knowledge.
I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
I mean,
Okay.
They could have done it early on, but I don't think so.
And Kathleen, put your goddamn clothes back on. Was that Opie and Anthony?
Yes, that was Paul Mercurio.
Yes, you guys got to replay that bit. If you guys still have it, it's really old, but it's fucking hilarious.
I don't know if we're allowed to play certain bits from NEW. That's the problem.
Right. All right. Thanks, Nick.
Okay.
All right. Jason in Rochester.
How's it going, buddies?
Hey.
I really like the wrestling opening bit just because I don't watch wrestling anymore.
Thank God.
But,
I always get scared when we do wrestling bits that everybody is at home mad at me. Even though Jim brought this one up.
I did, yeah.
But I was just wondering, like, what you guys think was the prime time for wrestling? Because I think it was the Attitude Era. Right after that ended, I quit watching. But like, just the beginning when like In Your House pay-per-view started and Undertaker was coming up from the ring, I still look back and watch like the old Stone Cold bits and just laugh my ass off. I mean, I'm older now.
Yeah, the best time for wrestling when it was actually cool and everything was definitely the late '90s when everybody was watching and they were making ridiculous money and they were doing cool shit. They were cursing and breaking things and showing some tit and, it was cool. That was probably.
Yeah, I think I was out by that time, so I can't even comment.
Jim preferred the mid to late 70s going into the early 80s, mainly because of Bob Backlund's knee walk.
That's a great move. Do you love the knee walk?
The knee walk?
Yeah.
No, I don't love. Why would I love the knee
It's
walk?
an amazing wrestling move.
But it doesn't do anything to the opponent.
Yeah, it's just him prowling in the knee walk.
Bob Backlund used to walk around the ring and drop to his knees as he walked.
It was like doing what are they called? Like the forward, not squats, but
lunges.
Lunges, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was just a feat of his strength.
Yeah, he could lunge all over that ring.
He's a strong motherfucker.
Of course he is.
He still is now. I met him. I took a photo with him at like a WWE show, and he put me in a move, and you could just tell he could have broken my neck at any moment.
Do wrestling fans like Bob Backlund?
Now,
yeah,
they don't know who he is.
Really?
I mean, look, he's still got it. When he got inducted into the Hall of Fame last year or this year, I guess, in March, and he was talking in front of a sold-out Madison Square Garden, and it was just talking, and everybody was bored being there because they had just brought out Donald Trump, and everybody booed Donald Trump.
Why?
Anybody who's not a wrestler was getting booed.
I wouldn't get booed.
You don't think so? No. You get some good wrestling jokes that you'd dish out on the crowd?
They'd love me.
And Maria Menounos
she
came out right before
him.
And got booed, but Jack Osbourne's out here. Enough of this nonsense. Come on in. Come on in, Jack.
I think it's important stuff.
What, the wrestling stuff? It is. It's important to educate. How's it going, man? Sit down.
Okay.
Hello,
Get
Sam.
comfortable, Jack. You know Jim, of course.
Morning,
Yeah, of course.
I'm Sam. We're live now. We've already started, and we'd like you to join us. How's it going, man?
Good.
Your hair looks good.
Thank you.
I liked it.
You look hot now.
Thanks, man.
Look at you guys just flirting with each other right off the bat. What a beautiful thing. I feel like I'm third-wheeling this date.
Jack and I have an announcement.
So what's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, it's going.
Yeah?
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah? Are you worn out after the Dancing with the Stars schedule?
Yes and no. It's one of those things where I finished like right on Thanksgiving and had a couple days off and then came out here. So I haven't really had too much time to take the dance shoes off.
Yeah, physically, that show is ridiculously demanding, right?
Yes, but I will say this: if anyone in this room ever has the opportunity to do it, totally do it.
Would you do it, Jim?
I would. They wouldn't ask me. Like if they ever get to the Jim Norton Dancing with the Stars, the show is ready to go off the air. It's never gotten that bad for them.
Right.
But the how many hours a day do you have to rehearse for that?
About 6 hours a day.
Oh,
It's a lot.
5 days a week.
7 days a week. I did not have a day off for 14 weeks in a row.
Could you dance before that?
Hell no.
No.
Absolutely. I still can't dance.
What are you doing? Basically, you're just kind of you're just kind of going over them almost like a Twister thing where we've done these moves so many times it becomes repetition.
That's all it is. It's muscle memory. Like you train so hard and you do the dance so many times. Like it's weird because everyone be like, well, what do you think about when you actually would go out and perform? It's like, actually, I don't know. You just kind of just do.
So were you planning on, did you want to go to the end, or were you thinking, I'd go on for a couple weeks, I'll get my charity stuff out there, and that'll be that?
Yeah, that was it. It was like, go out. We always, Cheryl and I joked that I most likely would be gone by week 5.
Uh-huh.
And if week 7 rolled by, like that would be the week I would go.
Yeah.
So, and lo and behold.
How many weeks was it that you actually made it?
11. I made it to the final 3.
It's amazing. Yeah, this came in third, which is amazing.
Because you remember when Jerry Springer was on a couple of seasons ago, and like we as a show started trying to get our audience to vote for him every week, and he called our show and said, please stop having the audience vote for me. I can't do this every week.
With it. He was done.
Yeah.
So what do? You just win money for the MS charity?
No, that was I wanted to use it as a kind of platform to kind of start raising awareness about MS, and just coincidentally, I had this project in the works before doing the show, and I put it on hold, but launching this awareness campaign called You Don't Know Jack about MS, and it's kind of it's just to kind of bring to light the kind of what MS is really and how it affects people and me particularly. And it's just a kind of an information campaign. Did
it fuck with your work schedule at all? Because I was amazed that you got MS and you're doing this rigorous dance schedule.
Yeah.
The MS or the dancing?
Having MS, I mean, because it's obviously a very physical illness. I mean, did it affect you at all? There were days you couldn't do anything?
There was a couple days where I was hurting a bit, and I just I had to take it kind of easy. but we were so far into the show at that point. That was like week 9 or 10, and it was like, well, I can't, I can't bow out now. So I got to kind of work through this. And so, we took it easy, and a couple of days went by, and I got better, and we just
what exactly does it do to you?
So MS is a autoimmune disease that kind of your body attacks its own nerves and essentially tries to strip down your nerve endings and peels away the protective layer.
It's just pain.
It can be pain, it can be numbness, it can be tingling, it can be electric sensation, it can be loss of vision. Some people have problems with taste. I mean, it's anything and everything to do with nerves.
So how did you find out that you had it?
I went blind in my right eye. That's what prompted me to go to the doctor. But before that,
totally blind, or you were just like seeing blurry, or it was gone?
I had like 90% of my central vision was gone. It was like black.
And that's just like that?
I woke up and there was a little. I always joke that the movie Avengers sent me blind because I went to see Avengers and then on the way home stopped at a gas station, and as I was talking to the clerk, this like black dot just appeared in my vision, like very small. And then I thought it was like a migraine because I've had like that before. And then the next morning I woke up and the dot got bigger. And then over the next 2 days, it was just like, done.
Jesus.
So if you hadn't gone to the doctor, would you have lost your vision, or that would have settled on its own anyway?
They usually, when you have flare-ups, the common, procedure the doctors will do, they put you on steroids to help reduce the inflammation of that nerve. And so I went on steroids, 3 days after I'd kind of had this problem in my eye. And they said that if I wouldn't have, it probably would have had they call them dark spots, just, exactly that, just a dark spot in my vision. But prior to that, the problem with my eye, my legs went numb for 3 months.
For 3 months?
Yeah, about a little over a year and a half earlier.
But aren't there so many other things that can be? MS is not the first choice. Like, it's a sciatica. Or...
Well, that's why I didn't go to the doctor. I was like, I tweaked it because I was at Ozfest, and I remember, like, I turned around and my friend, like, I was talking, and I just turned around, and I felt like a twinge in my back, and I was like, oh. Then the next day my legs were numb, so I figured sciatica, like, pinched a nerve in my back.
And you just let it go.
Let it go. And I was like, whatever, it'll heal itself.
Yeah.
I started doing, like, yoga and Pilates, and I was like, this will strengthen my, this will cure it. And I did some acupuncture. And
these doctors, I don't need them.
Yeah, exactly. Doctors, they don't know anything.
Yeah. Wow, God, that's a... So when this becomes a public thing, when it's like announced that you have MS, do people start treating you with kid gloves? Do they start,
My mom does.
Really? She does?
Oh, yeah. She thinks I'm going to, like, drop dead at any minute.
So she must have been terrified when you were like, I'm going to do Dancing with the Stars.
She actually... no, because she thought it... She realized the kind of, think what you want about the show. It gets like 12 million viewers, and it is a great, platform to kind of go out there. And if you're trying to get a message across, it's
the way to do it.
It's a great way to do it. And she thought it would be a good, a good tool for me to kind of help, kind of raise awareness about MS.
How did you tell your parents? I mean, do you find out like you already know before you go into the doctor's office, or does he give you the, we're going to need you to come in on the phone?
Well, I after the eye thing, I went. The eye doctor, because that's where I went. I was like, problem with my eye, go to the eye doctor.
Right.
He sent me to the hospital immediately. He was like, hey, you need to go get an MRI. And I was like,
it'll cure itself. I'm not going to go.
And so I go to the doctor, and first after the MRI, they told me that I thought they might have had I might have had a stroke.
Right.
And then when the neurologist kind of came in, he started talking about, the idea of MS, and then did a bit of investigating into kind of issues that are commonly associated with MS, and I kind of came back positive for a lot of them.
Is it just something that happens? Like people are you're born with it and it eventually appears?
You know what? There's a... Yeah, I mean, essentially, yes.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit of data saying that it's hereditary, but it's commonly occurs with, women, for one. It's like a 2-to-1 ratio versus, men to women get diagnosed with MS. But it's people who have a Northern European kind of lineage. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cold, wet, damp countries. Somehow there was some mutation in genes, people that came from Northern Europe that kind of more associated with multiple sclerosis.
So how do you handle like because your life's on a track? You say, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and you plan it out however well you can plan it out.
Especially because the track you were on before, it was like, I'm going to do this adrenaline junkie stuff.
Right.
It's like a very physically active path that you were starting.
Yeah, and you say, this is where I want it to go. And then all of a sudden, like, oh my God, now this is my thing. Like, now I am talking about MS. And how do you kind of make that comfortable?
It kind of, I don't know. It's a good
It's not.
question. Listen, it's one of those things that it sucks. I would rather not have to talk about it. But, you know, I just realized that when I got diagnosed, I went online and, you know, for better or for worse, and started looking up, like, you know, MS, who has MS, that kind of thing. And you know, Montel Williams is probably the most outspoken, you know, man who has MS. And I actually contacted Montel, you know, relatively soon after my diagnosis, and he's a huge source of, you know, information for me, and really kind of helped that whole, you know, process.
Isn't he up and about? He's doing okay, right?
Montel's, you know, he's had it for a very long time, and he is, you know, he's a kind of a model, you know, student of MS, if you will. Like, he is incredibly active in his health and kind of the do's and don'ts, you know, and he's a good sounding board.
What's a don't?
A don't, stress. So, you know, stress, and I'm like the worst victim of stress.
Yeah, and especially being in the public eye, I would think, when your whole family's in the public eye.
Yeah.
To not stress. Like, every other day, there's, especially your mom, she's like a pit bull out there.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You know, with something to say about somebody, and you have to be like, oh, it's just mom being mom. It's just mom being mom.
Woosha, woosha. Yeah, so, I mean, stress is a big no-no. You know, there's diet. People say diet plays a huge role, and I believe that to be true.
Did you have to give up anything you really liked eating?
You know, I'm a big fan of moderation, so I kind of look at it like, you know, don't give it up, just, you know, minimize.
Right.
You know, before doing Dancing with the Stars, you know, I'd really kind of cut out gluten and wheat and all that stuff, because it kind of associated with inflammation. At the end of the day, MS is about inflammation.
Did you ever think, there's Joe Rogan and a bunch of guys have talked about that treatment they're doing in Germany now, where you go and they spin your blood and have you heard about that? And they put it back in. It's supposed to help with all kinds of problems that are caused by inflammation.
Yeah, there's, you know, Germany is you know, my opinion, is kind of the forefront of kind of, it's almost like new age medication and treatment. But it's not kind of, you know, we don't have, you know, we're kind of confined within the restrictions of the federal government here.
Yeah, you can go over there.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, you can, absolutely. You know, it's you know, they do have some amazing treatments over there. But you know, not to say though that they don't have really good stuff here. I mean, in the last 10 years alone, the amount of kind of treatments they have now for, you know, MS is awesome, and the treatment that I'm on is pretty unique, because at the end of the day, it's just amino acids. So it's not like I'm not like pumping like some crazy long-winded chemical in me that I'm like, I don't know what that is. And so I kind of look at it like I justify it to myself because it's more holistic.
Yeah. Well, the stem cells, are they still working with stem cells I mean, I think that's probably where they're going to cure most of these things.
Yeah, you know, I think that down the road we will start seeing, you know, stem cells being a lot more kind of socially acceptable in the States, because I think there's such a stigma around it here, because they don't quite, you know, I think the public perception is that you're injecting dead babies into you.
Right.
Like, that's not
Crack them open and we pour out the stem cells.
And we shake out the good stuff and throw them away.
Right. Like, that's not what it is. And you know, and it's, you know, so I think down the road people will, when they kind of crack it and really figure it out.
So how do you deal with family stress that kind of everybody becomes aware of then? If you have to specifically not be stressed, like when you know, not only do you have to deal with, you know, your dad relapsing or your parents separating, and then you think you're done dealing with that, but then everybody becomes aware of it, so it becomes a whole other thing.
You know, by the time people do become aware of things, I'm usually like, it's just that, like, I'm like over it, and so it's just kind of,
you don't really care what everybody else is.
I don't care what people say. Like, I know what, you know, I experienced that, and I know what it is, and we're good.
I was seeing on Twitter, and I follow Ozzy and Sharon on Twitter. I've tried to keep it. I'm a fan of Ozzy. I've kept it under my hat, but I might as well be public about it now. But he tweeted something recently about to my brother-in-law in name only. I was like, somebody hacked Ozzy's Twitter because that was so unlike something.
Yeah. And
then your mom tweeted, oh boy, do you not want to fuck with her? She twittered something. She wrote an open letter on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
And I'm only asking you about it because it stemmed from something to do with you.
Yeah.
And has that situation? What was happening? This brother-in-law was trying to help you.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of the long and short of it is that that guy's a dick.
he's your mom's brother.
Mom's brother, and he's just, he did this whole article being like, I wish Sharon would allow me back into the life because I want to help Jack with his MS because my uncle has MS, and I'm like, really, dude, like. You have my email, you have my phone number.
Right.
If you really wanted to help me, you could have dropped me a line, but instead you sell a story to the British tabloids.
Right.
And but that's just the kind of guy he is. He's like a total deadbeat, criminal. I mean, he's
just glomming on to whatever because, maybe I get a book out of this.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
I'll be able to go on talk shows.
And he's had some, he's had a lot of resentments towards my family and my mum in particular. And he's that guy.
Does that happen a lot in your family? Because I would imagine, your whole family unit has been so successful. We were just talking before you came in that you and Kelly have gone on from the reality show to become hugely successful on your own and past it and everything. Is there jealousy in your family of people who are like, why do they get to be the famous ones? Why do they?
There are yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, there's family members that are really supportive and do enjoy the kind of having us as family members, and that's all it is. And then there's family members that are, kind of have the handout type, a lot.
Do you ever want to tell your mom, just please don't mention plastic surgeries about your genitals anymore in public because it's not something I want to read about?
It's one of those things where I'm choosing to put my head in the sand about that. And maybe at Christmas dinner, I can, bring that up.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I forwarded the article to my mother.
Food for thought, Mom.
For Christmas, my Christmas gift to her is going to be me basically making her never mention that again.
Yeah.
Well, that's why the Osbourne, there's something, it's like you guys are so open with stuff, it's hard to quote unquote get you on anything.
Okay, there's open and then there's just fucked up.
Yeah. But there's nothing that they're going to come out with the family that the people are going to go, oh my God, that's terrible, because whatever it is, you just talk about it, whether it was plastic surgery or relapsing. And once you talk about something, it takes people's ability to fuck with you over it almost completely away.
And that's actually kind of been something that we've all kind of agreed on since day one. It's no matter you cannot work in entertainment and kind of be in the limelight and have these deep, dark, evil secrets because they, inevitably they will catch up to you and they'll be the source of scandal and demise. And so if you just kind of own it and wear it on your sleeve, like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do. Because then no one can mess with you.
And it's also, it's strange that people also are not interested when they find out that nothing you're saying is true. There have been so many family reality shows that are kind of copying what the Osbourne started, but almost all of them are all just made up and scripted, and none of them work like the Osbournes did.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. But then again, it's just a different beast now, reality from when we did it to what it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, when we did it, there was a lot more money in it, and you could afford to film 7 days,
right?
And 18 hours a day, and just cut something together.
It was really filming somebody's life.
Yeah, and now it's because of the restraints of budgets. They go, okay, you got 4 days a week to film, and we need to know what we're going to be filming. So here's the script, and go.
Assisted reality, they call it.
Yeah, assisted reality.
Assisted reality. It's just such bullshit, and that's why the Osbournes came off as genuine and really funny and honest, and this stuff comes off as just crap, and the dramatic music makes up for the lack of true content. It stinks now.
Yeah,
and you guys were also interesting. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, look at this family, they're rich and on television.
Yeah,
watch them. You know what I mean? Well, we have to wrap
with Jack.
I have to leave you guys.
They guess you have other stuff.
Stay here forever with you, Jim.
We love you, Jack. We'd love you to come in 5 days a week just with us. Sweet TV, Sweet.tv, SCHWET.tv is, I guess, your website.
But for the kind of campaign, it's youdon'tknowjackaboutms.com.
Okay,
that's where all the information is, and we made these like little webisodes.
It's at Jack Osbourne on Twitter, which I know used to be Mr. Jacko or something.
Yeah.
You finally got your name?
Yeah, Michael Jackson called and said he wanted Jacko.
I was wondering, you've gone on to do so much TV production work and behind the scenes, and you directed the documentary and everything. Mm-hmm. Were you kind of, I know you did Dancing with the Stars, but were you kind of over being on camera all the time?
Yeah, a lot of that, and a lot of it comes down to control. Like, even though I might be on a TV show, whatever, you're kind of, I always say, like, you're like a talking box of Tide. It's like, go out there and do this. You're like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Right, you've had the input behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're a producer, you're a part of the creative and from soup to nuts.
Yeah.
And by the way, can I say how much I hate Rolling Stone magazine, the 50 top albums of this year, and they don't name 13 as one. Like, I just... Ugh, it really bugs me.
It's also the same magazine that put the fucking Boston Bomber on
Absolutely.
the cover, looking like a Backstreet Boy. Like, are you surprised?
No, and it doesn't surprise me. And what is it in music where there's this like where people think like they don't give Sabbath what they should have gotten, but In Excess are geniuses.
Well,
it drives me nuts.
But Rolling Stone is definitely more fixated on selling to teenage girls, even if they have to glamorize the Boston Bomber. And teenage girls aren't listening to Sabbath.
I feel I might have a slight bit of responsibility for that, because I did have a petition on change.org and got like 75,000 signatures to make Rolling Stone donate the profits of the magazine to the victims. But Rolling Stone just ignored it.
Of course, why wouldn't they?
Well, they got to keep their profits, right?
Right.
All right, well, Jack Osbourne, again, at Jack Osbourne on Twitter. You don't know Jack, about ms.com, and then Schweet.tv, but it's spelled SCHWEET.tv.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. Thank you, Jack.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good chat.
All right, man.
The O&A show continues. Sort of. This is After O&A Live. Stay tuned. All right, well, that sucked. To hear the Opie and Anthony show 5 days a week live on satellite radio, online on your phone or tablet, or even on demand, go to SiriusXM.com. Also, interact with the Opie and Anthony show on Twitter, at Opie Radio, at Anthony Cumia, and at Jim Norton.